Joan.
Yeah, works fine.
Okay. Rocky, I've cut, but here's somebody that put it together.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
I was like, whoa, guys, I was blown away in 98 peoples. Yes, I was blown
yeah,
away.
it was wild.
And then it just kind of it was that, and then it was Linkin Park, which I'm, to this day, Hybrid Theory is still one of my favorite albums of all time.
Hybrid Theory is a great album. I mean, that does so many different styles.
It is
in that one album.
That one album, and it's one of the albums. It's not one of the albums where you have a fad and then it's gone, and it's just that era. Like, it is still strong to listen to this day. Like, that album stands on its own. It does, people. Hybrid Theory, Linkin Park. If you don't have it or listen to it, I can't be friends with you.
Hello, Debbie. How are you tonight?
Hi, Debbie. Hi, everybody.
Yeah, Hybrid Theory is definitely, and seeing them in concert is one of the few concerts I watched.
That is one concert I'll never be able to go to because of what happened to Chester Bennington. So.
Oh, I happened to catch it before that.
Yeah.
So I had a good one. Just like I saw Slipknot in concert once, Korn once.
I've seen Korn in concert. with all 5 original bandmates. That includes the drummer. So they opened up. It was a Lunatic Luau. I think it was Lunatic Luau 8. They opened.
Oh, dude, I was at Ocho. I was at Ocho as well.
The headline Korn was headliner. Seven Dust was the co-headliner. Yeah. Yep, I was there. Paraman 5000. That's good times.
Yeah, totally different areas. Small world, man. Yeah, worlds collide.
But it brings back, because right now, every time I go to Facebook or I go to the Norva page, or concerts are like lighting up. They're starting to flood through the floodgates now, man.
I mean, did you hear some of the things over the past weekend? Normally Memorial Day weekend is the Indy 500.
Yes.
That's like the big thing.
Afternoon.
And they had a almost completely packed stadium.
Yeah, 135,000 fans.
I mean, yep, summer's back.
Oh yeah,
reopening everything. Go out, do your barbecue, go to the beach, all that stuff.
Do your thing, people. But now, do your thing with us. Yes. Tonight.
Korn on the Family Values tour.
Yeah, that was if I remember correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong, Debbie. It was Korn, Stain, and Limp Bizkit. Am I right? I can't remember. I'm doing this without looking it up.
Yeah.
Yep. But yep.
Yeah.
Memories. But I'm going to a few concerts, people. Yes, I am.
You do the concert thing, man. I don't think I could get into doing concerts again.
I'm not the rowdy person. I'm not up front on the stage. I'm the one chilling in the back. So
I mean, it's cool for the experience, but to be fair, once you do a Lunatic Luau, it's kind of hard because those luau's is like one stage of one band, one stage of another band, back and forth.
Gotta love it. No, I'm not as, I don't go to every concert like I used to. I only go to I'm very more meticulous. It's got to be one of my favorite bands. Orgy or Rammstein. Yeah, it could have been them. I can't remember.
Oh man, I haven't heard Rammstein in forever.
But Slipknot is doing a big homecoming festival tour in Iowa. So
really?
Yep. So they put the tickets on sale. It's going to be in September, October.
Slipknot's a really creative band.
I love listening to Slipknot. I've slowly grown to appreciate Slipknot. The more I listen to it, the more older I get.
I was kind of hooked the first song I heard after they're in the Resident Evil soundtrack.
Weed.
Yeah, I was kind of seeing the video and all that, and it's like, I was kind of hooked then.
No, I was hooked then, but I think it's like you know how if you listen to a band and you age with the band, like the music ages with you as well. That's what I feel with like Slipknot, and also my favorite band, Incubus. Like every album is another growth in them as it is in me. It's a different.
Fair.
It's one of those things where it's the band. Their sound changes through the years, but they have a distinct, like when you hear it, it's them.
Or maybe in some cases there's a band that is established, but there's one album that came out during your time appreciating it. That's your definitive album for that band.
For Incubus, it's Make Yourself.
One of mine is Metallica, and I'm sure people will give me flack and give me hate, but the Load album is probably the one that really kind of like Load and Reload are like the two I make sure I had copies of when I went digital with my music.
I think Load brought them into the mainstream. If you correct me, I know that's early '90s.
It is early '90s, but I don't know about that.
I know when it comes to Metallica, the only thing I think of is Master of Puppets.
Hi, Sakura. Hi, Scott. How are you? Welcome to the party. We're just talking music because first part, because you know what?
Yep.
Whatever.
I randomly just bring up my Spotify and play whatever is there, and it was Best of Rock 98. So that's why we're talking about all things rock right now. So
Temptation or either within Temptation. Power Man 5000.
That is a good going from one spectrum to another.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, Temptations to Power Man 5000. Soul R&B to straight up hard rock. That would be an awesome thing to see on stage.
I mean, how many different crossovers we had for different music genres?
There's a lot. You have country and pop. You have pop rock. You have hip hop rock fusion. You have a lot of different things.
The Black Album put them in the mainstream.
Okay, correct me. Yeah, thank you. I could not, like I said, Metallica, it was still before it was in my infancy of learning music. I learned about them going back.
I was sitting there thinking about it. My son's doing had to do a project for school, and he had to make a soundtrack for a book or something.
That actually sounds like a fun project to do.
It is. It's a great project. Well, it's one of those you have like do a couple of different things. It's 11th grade English. If you've done 11th grade English here in Virginia, you probably are familiar with this project. I had to do it for Hamlet. I don't remember what story he did it for, but it definitely wasn't Shakespeare. It was something else. And I remember it was like you do a newspaper article for what's going on, and then as a bonus, I did a soundtrack tape. And this is back in the day, you know, where you had to you mix the tapes by using the dual tape recorder, or you played it on one.
Put the one, put the other, record play, or you had to time it perfectly on the radio and hit record play and hit stop.
I had a few of those.
Actually, I should bring it over because I did actually find my old cassette that I recorded everything off the radio.
All my cassettes melted because they got overheated. So, but I made this one, which was my version of the soundtrack for Hamlet, and I did Metallica songs.
Oh yeah, training them well, Debbie. That's a good way to start.
I don't know. And it's amazing how music kind of shifts as you get older. Like, I remember I did a lot of oh God, Debbie knows the kind of crazy shit I used to listen. Language I know. Beep. Whatever. But it was like getting into the AC/DC and the Metallica late in high school days and whatnot. And now it's like it's like when I'm looking for songs, I'm looking for 90s songs, alternative and things like that. But you know, things like, you know, like what we're listening to right now for Stream Beats.
Yeah.
And you know, it's that whole, you know, instrumental type stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah, my music.
Genie. No.
No, he said Scott's last concert was Christina Aguilera, so I was like, go ahead, sing it. Genie in a bottle, baby.
You know what? I'll admit, I don't worry about that one. I'm actually when I think of Christina Aguilera songs, I actually think about the compilation she did with Maya, Lil' Kim, and Pink, or Moulin Rouge. Yeah. Lady Marmalade. Because I mean I like it. I like listening. Yeah, I think it's really great.
Song. And Moulin Rouge is a very underrated musical. If you've never watched it, people, I would recommend watching it. If you're into musicals.
Yeah, I mean, I had the long hair once, and then
last concert, Sakura said, was Rob Zombie. Yeah, my last show I went to was actually last year, 2020. It was February, right before everything shut down at the Norva.
Was it a Rob Zombie concert?
No, it was a post-hardcore rock band. One of my favorite bands. They were doing I think they were doing a 15th anniversary tour on one of their albums, so they played that album.
Which band was it?
Thrice. They were playing their Vihisu album, which is a really good. It was like an alt rock heavy mix album.
Oh, okay.
So that's another band that kind of every album is very distinct, but when you hear them, you know it's them. So.
Yeah, I think I was watching Watch Mojo, and they had like top 10 90s songs that are really good.
I was up late was it on Saturday, just listening to that.
Oh, top 90s one hit songs. Like
top 90s one hit wonders, people. It was a flash in the pan. They had that one song from Blind Melon. Yeah, you know what song I'm talking about.
I added it to my library after watching it.
Oh, it's on
that and Tub Thumper. And
I get knocked down and I get up again. You're never gonna beat me down.
Watch it. Don't want to hit those copyright strikes, but yeah.
I got it under the 30 seconds. Can't hit me now. But if you want to, I'm too short to hit me now. You know.
This concert was a toss-up between Alice Cooper. Alice Cooper's always interesting.
You know, Ozfest is one. I'm not into a lot of the heavy metal bands, but Ozfest would be that would be a one I want to go to just to see all those bands together.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Ozfest would be one that I would be stepping out of my comfort zone, but I would enjoy it because it still involves rock music, you know. So.
Well, I mean, you can't knock Black Sabbath.
No, Black
They've
Sabbath
got a lot of great
yeah.
songs, and Ozzy does really good on his own. Leonard Skinner, that's a good one. Leonard Skinner, I think of Leonard Skinner, I'm thinking also like Blue Oyster Cult and
I know I got a few shows coming up. If I see any of those classic rock bands coming through, I might get tickets. I don't know what. I know somebody invited me to the Bruce Springsteen concert that was here a couple years ago, but I passed, and I probably should have went and saw the boss.
I would have liked to have gone to a Rush concert because we know we
have a friend, a mutual friend who loves.
And Rush. I got into Rush because of him, and started reading a couple of books, and it's like I really would have liked to seen them in concert.
Maybe they'll no, but
they're not.
Yeah, they're not.
They're not.
Yeah.
They're
but,
not.
You know, yeah, he is a diehard fan. He's like me with Incubus, diehard fan. He'd drive millions of hours away to go watch him, which I did for my band. I drove to Atlanta to watch them. So.
And you can. I mean, I wish I had those opportunities, but I didn't.
But no, and the only reason I did it was because the concert was on a weekend, so I didn't have to take. I only took Monday off.
Oh yeah, good recoup.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think the only time I did one of those. Yeah. Shortly after getting to 29 Palms, California, I think a bunch of us one night wanted to go out, so we went to a rave.
Yeah.
Because that was the music that class was into, was the techno and the trance, and you know, being ambidextrous and in my interest, if it sounds good, it sounds good. Yeah, went to a rave. Drove all the way to Tucson for a rave from 29 Palms, California. That was fun. No, I didn't get in trouble because I didn't get caught.
Yeah. Hey, if you don't get caught,
statute of limitations ran out. Because I remember at one point I actually laid down on the floor and took a short nap.
Hey.
In the middle of a rave. Yes.
Everything is good if you don't get caught. Or if it becomes legal after July 1st.
I don't think that was the concern there. Because that was about the time ecstasy started making.
Which is not legal. But hey, if you don't get caught, whatever. I don't know.
Let's not encourage or endorse any of that stuff. Let's, no.
But if you go to concerts, have fun, people. It's always fun to see bands live. I concur.
Blast some rock music. Always a good time.
You know what the funniest thing I saw? I saw there we had it was I think it was last year or whatever. We had a party at Red Wing. And we talking about blasting music. So there was this group of guys in a truck, and they were driving around. You know, if you've been to Red Wing,
there's a part where the loop, there's a loop you could drive around.
They were driving around, and they came around once, and I was like, "That's a boy band." And then I wasn't really paying attention because I was paying attention to the party. And then when they came back around again, they had their windows out and had it louder. They were blasting Backstreet Boys, and just jamming to it in the park. Just blasting Backstreet Boys. So
I know somebody who might. I don't know. I think I know somebody who might appreciate that. But I'm like,
yeah, that's what the comment Debbie made me think about, because it was kind of funny because it was not the group of people you'd think you'd see jamming to Backstreet Boys.
No. Hey, I mean, music is music.
Music is music. You know.
I mean,
but
it doesn't matter who you are, or what you are, or any of that. Music is music.
Yeah, it was just they must have popped in the greatest hits album because they were playing all the hits. I was cool with it because, like you said, late '90s.
Yeah, I mean that was the shtick. That was it. All the different boy bands.
Ba ba ba, you know.
All the things. So now that we've spent like 20 minutes talking about music, I guess we can get into the movie reviews we're going to do this week, right? Or we just. We can get into that. Hi, welcome everybody. Welcome. So this week we got 2 reviews to do. Unfortunately, I haven't seen either one of these films yet, so I'll be upfront, tell you right there. Just be my biased opinion of not watching it. But
which is always welcomed.
Ry went out to the movie theaters
twice
to check these out. So hopefully some good insight and good talking points for those. And then we'll see whatever else comes to mind afterwards. I mean, that's our primary thing. rest of its stuff. We got a few news bits, like there's that latest Amazon acquisition, if you hadn't heard about it yet.
Yep. Some big purchases happening.
Yep, Amazon now has a license to kill, or at least a license to
lease out the kill.
Lease out. Actually, no, because all the distribution rights still go to Ian Fleming.
Yes, but they still own the filmmaking rights.
They own the filmmaking rights to a certain British special agent. There was that. You said you found something interesting. Oh yeah,
we got a couple odds and ends
tying into the music. We got another library story involving music. Yes. So let's get into this. Let's do the reviews. Let's check out our first review.
And what we have it. We got to be silent.
No. All right. No, we're gonna go with Cruella. The latest Disney live-action film that is both released on Disney Plus Premiere, and you can go check it out in theaters.
Yes, sir.
Now, this is supposed to be a lot like Maleficent. This is an origin story of the villain of a beloved Disney property.
Yeah. So, Cruella is, as Scuba pointed out, it is in the vein of like Maleficent, and it's a retelling from a villain's perspective, in this case from Cruella de Vil, which many of you might know is the villain for 101 Dalmatians. But instead of doing an adaptation of the animated tale, this is actually a prequel live action. So not only are they doing live action, but it's also a prequel.
Well, I mean, let's be fair. We've already had live action interpretations of Cruella de Vil.
Yes, twice.
So I'm kind of glad. I'm glad right now that we're not retreading 101 Dalmatians. But I got to be honest. When you think of Cruella, who doesn't think of that song from the animated film?
Yeah, you think of that song.
I've got that. And
they do that song, not in the movie, but at the ending credits, there's somebody, they do a modern spin of it.
Oh, I can appreciate that right now, because that was a catchy tune back then when the film came out.
So, but like you said, it's a live action, like in the vein of all of these Disney films, but it's a prequel. So what it does is focus on the life of what that her as throughout most of the film is Estella, and Estella is played by Emma Stone. And the film focuses on her origins and watching her rise through the ranks of the fashion world through many different obstacles to become what we know as Cruella de Vil, with a twist. With all these live action remakes, it's always been a retreading or rethreading of the original stuff. But in this case, they spin the familiar within different means. So by focusing on prequel, you get to watch the villain's origins. So in the first act, it's your basic introduction to the main character, and you get a slow build of scenes of watching her from, birth, childhood, her affinity for fashion, and then also some foreshadowing of the classic caricature that you know of Cruella. The hair, her companions, and an interesting spin on
temper, her anger management issues.
Or
her completely horrid driving.
Yes, that does happen in the film. So there's a lot of kind of forced retreading of what you know of the character, but what they do is they kind of meld it within their own story. So you're watching this person as she's growing up, and through some unforeseen circumstances, there's some things that happen through her childhood that it just is very tragic, and tragedy strikes, and it plays into the caricature that you know from the animated tale. So some of it might feel forced, but it's good. It's it's moving. You're building this origin, and then once Estella moves to London, that's when you meet the other characters from the animated film, Horace and Jasper, and they're played by Paul Hauser and Joel Fry. And it's a group of people, they're running petty crimes through London, and then eventually through some plot devices, she becomes employed with this famed clothing company, and that leads to her interaction with the Baroness, played by Emma Thompson. And what they do because this is focused on the villain, so what Disney has to do is spin it in a way where you watching her, you build her credence of what you know of the character, but you also need her to come against a bigger bad, in a way, and that's the Baroness. And what I tell you, their relationship and interaction creates this conflict that is very fun, vile, but also leads to some very strong character growth, especially within Estella, as she slowly evolves into the character of Cruella because of some inner demons. You have a lot of great heavy turns with drama, blunt humor, and some plot revelations that happen with this chunk of the film. And basically what you have is something that starts as a basic origin tale and starts to turn into a revenge thriller. Because now what Cruella wants to do is take down the Baroness. So it's this back and forth, but through fashion. So you get to see this like tug of war, this fight between these two strong characters, but through their own creativity of fashion. And kind of fun watching that along the way. So it leads to some creative tension, some character shifts, and some unpredictable mishaps. Because what it is that instead of just doing a beat by beat origin tale, by spinning this like confrontation and revenge, it helps add credence to the character, and you start to actually like, but also dislike some of the things that Estella becomes when she becomes Cruella. And it leads to this ultimate challenge and then a full transformation within the climax. And I'm gonna leave it there because there's a lot of twists and turns and certain revelations that happen in the third act which can either make or break it for you. But the way I'll wrap this up is that Cruella is in a way its own little stand-alone film focused on a reinterpretation of the character. Think of it like Joker. It has a lot of the elements that make the character who they are, but it's its own one-shot thing.
Interesting.
So
Scott's asking in the chat, do they explain why her choice in hairstyle?
That's explained within the first 5 minutes. Literally, once the film starts, you'll know why.
All right. So my question is, we know the last time Cruella was portrayed in live action, it was by none other than Glenn Close.
Yes.
How does Emma stack up in her interpretation of Cruella to Glenn Close? Because the two kind of look similar if you account for age.
Yeah. I would compare it to them like you compare all the different Joker iterations. You have Jack Nicholson, you have Heath Ledger, you have Jared Leto, and you have Joaquin Phoenix. They have their own little spin. It's apples to oranges. It's the character you know as Cruella, but it's her own different take because this feels like its own one shot.
Oh, okay.
Whereas the Glenn Close character, which is very great in that role because you hate her so much in that movie, which is the point. And this one, you feel the vile and the like darkness, but it's in a way that it's built through character development instead of just being just the aha villain. Like, she's not technically villainous, but there are things she does that make you think, it's not typically heroic.
So it's more her obsessions lead to villainy than her character leads to.
Yeah, there's like
Okay. Sounds good. Well, that was a lot of exposition on that.
Yeah.
But go check this out.
Check it
out. What did you rate it?
Overall, I actually enjoyed this more than I thought. And like I said, if you think of it as its own one-shot, you'll definitely enjoy it. Even if you'd like to tie it into the animated tale, you'll still enjoy it. 3.5 out of 5 matinee. It's worth seeing at the theaters.
Cool.
A lot of laughs.
You can check it out in theaters, or if you want, you can pay for the Disney Premium access.
$30, people.
And check it out there.
I think it would be worth it for anybody that's a fan.
Alrighty. And our second film, The Quiet Place Part 2. About bloody time this came out in theaters.
Oh, yeah. It was supposed to. Yeah. Well, it's kind of not their fault why they didn't come out.
I know.
But,
I know. We knew this was coming. We weren't sure what was going to be the story and all of that. This finally dropped. And as... Don't worry about that.
Okay.
My work computer. I haven't touched my work computer in a couple hours, so the connection died. Big deal. I just reestablished connection later. Anyways, so we're talking about The Quiet Place 2, which is the sequel to The Quiet Place, a breakout hit, because this was another comedian taking a stab at horror.
John Krasinski.
And did a really good job at it. Now, John Krasinski, I'm remembering him.
The Office. He also plays Jack Ryan on the series. Jack Ryan. But he's mostly known for being a comedian from The Office.
Okay. So now that we've established that, he and his wife being
Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt did this little film called The Quiet Place. and now we have their sequel. So let's talk about it. How did this one stack up? Because my first question is, if she was in the first one and so was he, did something happen to him at the end of the first one?
Yes, something does happen to him in the first one, and I'm not going to spoil it for anybody that hasn't seen it. But you might concur on what happened. But,
okay, so this is because I gotta be honest, I totally didn't realize she was in the first one.
Yeah.
Until just recently doing some preliminary research on this.
Yeah.
And she's in both, and this looks like it's a continuation after the events of the first one.
And when you say continuation, it literally picks off right after the first. Because if anybody's watched the first one, great horror film, very, unexpected, triumph, but the way the first one ended, it was very abrupt. And then watching this, you see why. So this one literally picks up right as the first one ends. And what you have is that you have the Abbott family, who are now, after the consequential actions of the monsters, what they did to their farm in the first, they have to venture out into the world unknown. And by doing that, it leads to them, not only dealing with the monsters, but there's also other dangers out there that they're going to have to figure out how to deal with, not just the monsters. And the whole thing is, you make a sound, you're going to die, because these monsters react to pretty much any sound that you make.
It's got to be really frustrating.
Yes, it is. But what you have here is that when it comes to, the first film, the first film is very atmospheric, very tonal, very horror driven, very heavy tone. So by making a second one, what John Krasinski does, he's the writer and the director of both films, what he does is he takes that concept and he actually expands upon that gimmick. So not only are you playing with the dangers with sound, but now that the aliens are in the open, they're expanding it through, more of the struggles that the family has to do. Okay, how are they going to adapt with the outside world? Like, they have the tricks of the trade. They know what to do to survive. And through some conversational exposition, they run across another character who's played by Cillian Murphy. His name is Emmett. And what you see with the characters is very subtle character growth. So with horror films, there's very much of a tripping, always trying to do the same gimmick over and over and over, and that's how they kind of fall apart. Where in this film, you have the gimmick of you can't make a sound or you're going to die, but what you have is characters that are in the same dire situation or moments. They're making calculated risks. They're making intelligent decisions. They're picking up on certain things and certain things of their environment and knowing, okay, how are we going to get from A to B without causing C?
Actually, real quick, because this is a good point in the chat.
Yeah.
Potentially confusing A Quiet Place with Bird Box.
Yes.
The two films have a few similarities.
Yeah.
Number one, they rely on completely void of a sense. Bird Box is you couldn't look at anything, otherwise you'd go insane. Or I think that, if I understand, that was the shtick for that one.
Yeah, you couldn't see. The second you would see the aliens, you would have to face your worst fears, and that's why people were killing themselves, because they'll be living that loop of fear over and over. So
whereas with The Quiet Place, it's you can't make a sound.
Yeah, because the aliens react to the sounds and they just come and just take you out within an instant. So.
I mean, that's a lot of bloody aliens, because that's a lot of bloody planet.
So, yeah. So what the sequel does, it re-examines the gimmick through these character growths and understanding this is your bounds, these are your limits. How do you use your environment to your advantage against these aliens? So what you have is that a splitting point in this film. You have Evelyn Abbott, played by Emily Blunt, as she has to protect her two sons, while Regan Abbott, the daughter, played by Melissa Simmons, and Emmett, played by Cillian Murphy, they are venturing off to find the source of the radio. Because there is somebody that's playing music on the radio, and they're going to try to find the source. By this divergent of the story, you get expansion of the world, you get some slight foreshadowing for things coming, but at the same time, you get to see the ramification of human nature at its core.
That actually sounds pretty clever. So the first film focused on the family and the farm.
Yeah.
This one, we're expanding that to incorporate additional people.
Yeah. So there, you start to see a heightened awareness of the gravity of the situation, but instead of just playing with the gimmick, the aliens are in full bloom. Like, you see the aliens every time, you know, it goes down, the aliens are there. They're not trying to hide in the shadows or something. No. But that even makes it more intense, because with that confrontation, the suspense is heightened, but you also are growing with these characters because they have started to master how to counter the aliens. But it doesn't take away from the danger, because these alien creatures are still dangerous as you know what. But you have a heightened awareness and more action weaving in through the suspense. So I would compare Quiet and Quiet Place Part 2 to Alien and Aliens. With the atmospheric tone shifting between the two films, you have that happening here, where it's more action and character heavy, and you're watching as it's the children taking the lead as they are finding the solutions to try to live in this world and further find a way to protect against the aliens.
So how would this go? Because it seems like the first one was kind of, is this a product of the story or a larger budget?
Re-ask your question. Are you talking about?
Well, okay, so we have the first one, which was kind of an independent hit.
Yeah, independent hit. Yeah.
Low budget. I mean, comparatively, it was clearly a lower budget thing, because
I think it was made by 30 million. The first one.
Yeah. So with the second one, obviously, because the first one was such a hit, we have more financial backing on this. Does it feel like
not by
the
much
story? Does it feel like the story is making a good, taking a natural progression?
Yeah.
Or is it one of those, hey, let me write you a blank check?
No, what you see here, you see that there was, because when it comes to the first one, a lot of people complaining about the ending because it was very abrupt. But by watching this, you see that they have a plan.
Okay.
So their budget, it wasn't by much. It's 40 million, so 10 million more than the first one. So it's, you're watching, this is the rarity where it's the sequel and being a horror sequel that is actually builds upon the first, but instead of just rehashing the gimmick, they are building through character growth, world progression, leading into something further and mysterious. And the one positive is, and the one thing they haven't done, which can always be a crux or ruin a franchise, is explaining the reason why. Leaving the aliens a mystery makes it even more scary, because you're getting it from the perspective of the people living in this world, because they don't know. And
instead of having your obligatory character who comes in, who seems to have all this sage information about...
So they do a good way of playing against tropes. They do a good way of playing against character type. Like, when you expect it to do a certain thing, it goes against the grain and does something more gratifying to human nature at its core.
I think it's definitely worth a watch then.
Oh yeah, it is worth, and it is one of the rarities where the sequel is actually better than the first. And overall, 4 out of 5 full price.
4 out of 5.
It was great seeing this with a packed house in the theater, because you get that experience. But John Krasinski is showing his talent as a director, because the way he can weave suspense and thrills in broad daylight with the monster in full bloom, and you're still scared to the T. Yeah. So, check it out if you like the first one.
Alrighty.
All right.
Okay, well, that was definitely a couple of interesting films to check out.
Well, yeah, and probably running along with the horror train this weekend. So.
Oh yeah, Conjuring 3 comes out.
Yep.
On HBO Max and in theaters.
Yep. And then after that, In the Heights, a musical.
Oh yeah, I think I saw a bit for that.
Yeah. So June is definitely, it's fulfilling its promise of being the blockbuster season again. So you got big names and big movies coming out. So.
Hey, let's see what happens. So, speaking of theaters and properties, let's talk about this latest Amazon acquisition. They just bought MGM.
Yes, they did. They bought MGM. Put in the article in the chats. So
that's wild.
So, yep. So it was rumored for about a week.
Oh yeah, I mean,
even more than a week, but it was getting stronger and stronger. So based on our AP News article, they bought MGM for $8.45 billion.
$9 billion. Or so.
Yes, pretty much.
$8.5 billion they bought MGM.
Yes.
One of the oldest studios.
One of the oldest studios. So not only do they get the catalog with MGM, which has the famous characters of Rocky, RoboCop, and Pink Panther, but it has that one catalog of films that we were foreshadowing.
Yeah, the James Bond franchise.
Yes, sir.
Now, interesting thing on that is they don't have the distribution rights to James Bond. Those still rely with the Ian Fleming Foundation studio that licenses and distributes the Bond films, but MGM now has the filmmaking rights and such. So don't expect to see, as several outlets have already said, don't expect to see the Bond franchise on Amazon Prime anytime soon.
No, I mean,
but
you can
there's
rent
still
them
quite
out.
a few movies.
Yeah.
I mean, wasn't Wizard of Oz MGM?
Yes, I believe so. Wizard of Oz and Gone with the Wind are MGM properties.
Dude, those are like two very iconic bit of cinema.
But yeah, so they got, but the big capture is the fact that you get a hold of a lot of Paul Thomas Anderson films. You get a catalog of its library still includes more than 4,000 movies and 17,000 TV shows. So
Holy
everything from Silence of the Lamb to Thelma and Louise's classics to Shark Tank and Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So every spectrum of the audience is covered with this deal.
Dude, that is awesome.
You have reality TV for the people that like reality TV.
Oh, reality TV is fake.
Yeah, but the people do like it. So but it is one of the things that, Amazon's been trying to wiggle into the movie industry slowly and surely, and they have their own movie studio, and they've released quite a good amount of films through their studio.
But now they can sit there and utilize MGM's contracts with the theater chains to get more films out. So this is good distribution for them in the fact that they now can utilize those same contracts depending on how they play this out.
So it's another big play, and it's a big play for them with the big thing with the Warner Media and Discovery merging, Netflix rising, and Disney doing its thing with Disney Plus. Amazon came swinging for the hills with this acquisition. So it's just
I gotta throw there because I'm seeing this comment in the chat for The Heights.
Yeah.
Sakura said she saw it on Broadway. I'm very curious to see what your thoughts are on this film, because Broadway renditions and film renditions don't always hit the mark.
Yeah, I would say in the ones that I have watched, the wholes I've watched the adaptation from Broadway to film, it's 50-50. It's been 50-50 with the ones I've seen. So
the three I like the most are Rent, Sweeney Todd.
I love Sweeney Todd.
And Phantom of the Opera.
Mines would be the Phantom of the Opera, Les Miserables, and Sweeney Todd. Those would be the three that gleam in my eye when I think about them. But
Rent is probably my favorite adaptation I've seen.
But yep, definitely looking forward to In the Heights. So because it was supposed to be another one of those releases that got pushed back from last year, like A Quiet Place Part 2. That's going to be released this year finally.
Well, thankfully we're going to get a bunch of these things that are out of production, that are done with production. We're just seeing them and going to get released, and they're working on other things. So
yeah,
all the good there.
Yeah, theaters are coming back. Because Quiet Place made a good chunk of money over Memorial Day weekend. Tell me about it. Off. Les Mis was great.
My wife's a big fan of Les Mis.
Like I think I watched that multiple times when they dropped it for that Christmas holiday. So, but yeah, big acquisition by Amazon. So we'll see what that does.
That plays out. That'd be interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah, but it also might shorten those the window between theater and digital release. So we'll see.
Hey.
The key marker is 45 days. That's what all the studios have been doing, signing for a 45 days theater to digital release so far. So,
I mean, if you got the service, do it. So
Warner Brothers has done it. Paramount's done it. Who else has done the 45 days? There was Universal. Those are the three ones that have done it. So far.
And our other story we were gonna touch on, which kind of led into the whole music conversation, as we bring it full circle, is remember a few weeks ago we talked about stuff that people checked off from the library and
forgot
to turn in.
Yeah.
Well, we found another one
here on HuffPost.
Huffington Post. Yes. This one is, instead of a book, it's a vinyl record. 40 some odd years overdue. What album was that again?
It was Bob Dylan's I had it and my note went away. Self-portrait album. So Bob Dylan's self-portrait album from 1973. A man by the name of Howard Simon checked it out when he was an 8th grader in 1973 from University Heights Middle School. Now 73, he found it in his vinyl collection and decided to send it back after approximately 17,480 days of being overdue. Not only did he send the vinyl back, he sent the replacement fee, but also sent his own album recording, Western Reserve, for possible inclusion in the library collection.
Oh, okay.
So,
I mean, that's cool. I mean, it sounds like he just literally put it down because he didn't want to get wrecked and then forgot about it. And the fact that he still had it, I mean, after so long, and we know as far as pop culture, we went from vinyl to 8 tracks to cassettes to CDs. Back to vinyl.
Vinyl. It's so funny. We're walking through the record stores now, like walking through FYE. It used to be CDs galore, and now it's little CDs, vinyls galore. So it's great, and pops. So
there's still some theater chat in the chat, talking about the Wicked, and
never saw Wicked, but I heard it was good.
I think the last time I saw a version of The Wizard of Oz was when I did The Wiz in high school. That was my first introduction to theater.
Yeah.
That was comical. It's like it was the end. It was the end of it. It was the end there when did the Wiz did the first high school production.
There you go.
Getting into high school theater and then just getting sucked into theater. That was it. Over. Done. Love theater work. I don't get to do it anymore, but I still love theater work.
It's all good, I
guess the closest I get to do is I get to do this every week, or I get to run D&D games.
We perform as ourselves, and you run through the dice games. The only time I roleplay is when I'm throwing down an axis through Ireland in Assassin's Creed right now. Arg.
How's that going, by the way?
Wrath of the Druids is actually getting better. The more I'm playing it, the story is getting deeper. You're starting to learn more lore about the conflict between the Irish kingdoms, and not only that, you have the third wheel of this group of druids that, just like the Order of the Ancients, they have their own order, and you have to go in and infiltrate and take out these druids by learning where they located and taking them out one by one. Cool. So not only do you have to build up your trade post and your trading partners and build up your reps with the different Irish kingdoms, you have to take out these druids, because when they do, all I can say is these druids, when they are tripping on their whatever hallucinations they're doing, like the creatures that they turn into that you have to fight. The last fight I did to take out one of the main druids, forget what it's called. He, whatever kind of hallucination he had, he turned himself into a giant werewolf. So, yeah. Like, they are really getting into the mysticisms of the druids at this time during Ireland. So, a lot of historical stuff. And it's a lot of depth packed into this DLC. So, it's one of the better DLCs I've played in a quite long time. It's not just an addition. Like, there's a lot of content. Oh. And a lot of varied content. So that's what's keeping me in. So outside of Valhalla, owing debt to a raccoon Animal Crossing. But we have new people living on the island, so I'm not the only one owing debt to the raccoon. So
yes, he's spreading his debt collection out.
yes, so we're adding tolls to bridges now and expanding houses. But you expand your house, you have to have reverse equity, and you have the more debt, and it's like playing real life but with cute animals.
Yeah, I was commenting again in the chat as I heard Wicked was the witch origin, and it was a pretty well received adaptation of the Wizard of Oz mythos.
Yeah, check it out if it comes through town. Go to Chrysler. How's Spider-Man doing? I see you says main story complete.
Yes, I finished the main story. I got all my tokens. I really suck at the challenges. And
hey, don't worry. Everybody struggles with those challenges. Trust me, I struggle with those challenges. I gave up on doing them all. So
I got them all done. Not all of them. I got second or
How
third.
many of the suits have you gotten?
I think I have 6 suits left to unlock.
Okay.
I was hoping for the black. I was hoping for the black suit, from the symbiote suit, but I don't.
Is it in there?
I don't think it is.
Okay. I don't think they're introducing that until maybe the actual second game.
The rumor has that the second game we're gonna have Venom and Carnage.
That's gonna be great because then you might be able to use the symbiote.
I mean, I was reading a couple of rumors that you actually do part of the story with the symbiote on you.
Well, it would make sense because the symbiote starts with,
and supposedly they're gonna do the origin of Venom as part of the storyline in the game.
That should be fun. Now, because you're going to have not only Spider-Man, but Miles Morales in the play.
And they're talking about, I mean, just rumors, but it looks like some of the rumors were indicating that we're going to have the Lizard, which if you played Miles Morales, there was a name drop for Doc Connors.
Yeah, it was.
Miles is going to be back. You're going to have...
That's great, because I love
Sandman, Hydro, Goblin, you're going to have Venom, Carnage, and you're going to have Morbius.
I would think they would have Goblin because there's a stinger at the end of Miles Morales. Couple stingers.
Couple of them, yes. Yeah. But what I'm hoping is that they don't ignore the Miles Morales game.
I don't think they will, because Miles Morales game didn't even ignore the Spider-Man, because it's like the next chapter.
Yeah, so far, it's what I read. It seems like we kind of pick up a year after the events of the last DLC, Silver Lining.
Okay.
And we don't even, and Miles is back in there, but there's no confirmation that we're including what happens to Miles in his story. But
they should allow him to be a playable character, because I love playing as Miles, because he has extra skills that really.
I have to wait till I get into it. I started the first DLC with Black Cat, and when I completed in the main game, when I completed Black Cat's little collection, and she gives you that black suit with the red spider on it, that was my suit for the rest of the game, because I really enjoyed that suit.
Oh yeah, my favorite, like I told you, my favorite is the Iron Spidey suit. That's my favorite suit to use.
Yeah, I haven't unlocked all the suits, or I've unlocked them, but I haven't purchased them because I don't have enough challenge tokens.
Yeah, you'll get it.
But overall, I'd say it was a lot of fun. It's definitely very enjoyable when you get to those story moments after some of the fights.
Oh yeah, I love the story of the one and the way they incorporate all the villains. So
yeah, Sinister Six was well played. And the other game I played, I started a game called Call of the Sea.
Oh yeah.
Which I found it was available on PC for Game Pass. And I really couldn't think of anything to paint on Sunday, so I figured, and my whole thing with this holiday weekend was, you know what, I just needed to unplug. Yeah. Ultimately, that's what I did. I mean, it took me all day Saturday and Saturday night to finally wake up Sunday feeling refreshed, because I was so run down.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, so Sunday, it's like, oh, I'm not really sure what to paint. I'm not really feeling any painting, so I decided let's change it up and play a game. Spent 2 hours playing, a couple hours playing the Call of the Sea, which seems really cool. Probably definitely look forward to going back checking that out.
Oh yeah, fun times.
But anyways, so that about wraps it up for us this week. Thank you everyone for tuning in and watching. You're all awesome human beings, and thank you very much.
Awesome.
If you enjoyed the content here, please be sure to hit that like button. And if you're new here, be sure to hit the subscribe and the bell notifications so you can be notified when future videos come out. This is one of several shows we have on this channel, as you can see from the content below. This Saturday should have Shadow Watch back. Didn't have it last week because I didn't get enough prep done, and I didn't want to feel rushed because we're at the tail end. We're on the last chapter of the Shards of Day. The party is on the Koatoa Island, and they're going to be trying to retrieve the last shard and then head back to the Baron. Got another week of Challenge Accepted being on hiatus, but they're due to be back on the 12th to continue their adventures. Sunday is Sunday with Scoob, kind of a morning show hangout. I think I'm going to tackle the Dire Troll. Got a paint night kit for the Dire Troll. There's been some buzz on people doing that. So
that one right there.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to do my take on it. I'm avoiding any tutorials on how to paint it. I'm going to paint it purely how my intuition strikes me based on the colors that are in the box. So 12 noon on Sunday, come check out Sunday with Scoob live. If you join everything and want to support the studio, you could do that a couple of different ways. Probably the best way, and the one that's got the least mid, is be sure to hit the like, the subscribe, and the bell. Share this out to your friends. Get more people to come and check us out. But if you want to do more and contribute more, you can certainly do that a couple of ways. You could do a direct. You could go over to patreon.com/Scuba Studio and consider joining as a patron. I've got some things in the works. I know it's been really quiet there. I apologize, but things are kind of crazy right now with going back to work and all the shenanigans involved with that.
Shenanigans.
So, again, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you, Ry, for hanging out with me for another Tuesday night. Wish Ry's dad a happy birthday tomorrow.
Happy birthday, Pops.
And we'll see you on our next adventure. And stay safe, love each other, and catch you next time. Night, everybody.
Peace. Do, do, do.